Hello everyone, welcome to the $1,500 to $2,000 gaming PC build budget range for February 2022. My name is Corey with noobcomputerbuild.com. If you're tuning in for the second time, or you were tuning in last month or any other month, a lot has changed in this build. That is because of Intel's new CPU lineup that is absolutely crushing the Ryzen CPUs that previously held the CPU spot in this build. So why is that, do you say? Well, the 5600X, it was the Ryzen 5 5600X, first held the CPU spot here as it was the best mainstream kind of gaming CPU on a performance per dollar spent sort of mentality. However, we now have some new CPUs in store here, and so what we're going to be talking about here in the $1,500 build is the Intel Core i5-12400, which is now replaces the previous Ryzen 1 and performs better for less, essentially. And you can see here at some recent benchmarks, this is from Tom's Hardware. This is through an average FPS of their entire gaming suite at 1080p as an example. And you can see if you go down here, here's the Ryzen 5 5600X. It was getting an average of about 151 FPS in all games. And then if we move over to the 12400, it gets a little more for a little, and it costs less money. So that's at 154 FPS. And then if you wanted to get the best gaming CPU, which is included in the alternatives, which we'll get to once we get to the build here, the 12600K, if you can afford that or swing that, that is absolutely the best CPU you can probably get for gaming at the moment, obviously costing you more. Or if you really, really, really wanted to go all out, you can go with something like it's not in here, I don't think, but there's the 12900, I believe. 12900K, which isn't in this test suite, I don't think, but that would absolutely crush everything too, but obviously costs a lot more money. Then if we move over to the next chart here, here's that 1440p, similar story. Here's the 5600X at 158 FPS, and that's the non-overclocked. And then right below it, here is the 12400, and they kind of perform similarly here, but at the same FPS. They both get 158, but again, the 12400 costs less. So on to the build. We have finally switched over to an Intel for our recommendations for this high-end build. And who is this high-end build for? If you haven't been tuning in, this build is kind of that high-end model for those that kind of want to game even into 4K and absolutely crush 1440p and 1080p resolutions at really high FPS. And this would kind of be, in my opinion, the everyday gamer. You just want to get everything maxed out without worrying about anything. And if you want to spend more than this, it's really about fine-tuning your PC in terms of if you want a really extreme workstation or something like that, or if you want to customize it to the way you want it to look, or you need a ton of memory or something. Otherwise, there's no reason to spend more than this, and specifically for gaming, as there will be diminishing returns past this budget point, in my opinion. Let's get started. So the $1,500 build for February 2022, the CPU, as I was mentioning, is the Intel Core i5-12400, which comes out to $208.96 at the moment. I'm including the stock cooler so we can stay within budget here. This is the Intel Laminar RM1 stock cooler. It will perform okay with the CPU. However, I would recommend upgrading that to a aftermarket cooler if you can, especially if you want to get into things like overclocking and really get the most out of your CPU. Otherwise, you will be able to boot up your PC and game just fine with the stock cooler. Motherboard here is the Asus Prime B660 Plus motherboard. The release of the B660 boards is really what makes this board kind of achievable in terms of being able to get it into this budget now with the newer CPUs here. So now that the 660 boards are out, we can squeeze that in, and this one comes out to $139.99. The graphics card here is we have the MSI Gaming GeForce RTX 37 LHR at a cool $1,189.99. Graphics cards are probably going to stay over MSRP for quite a long time. If you've been in the market for a bit, you'll notice that graphics cards have been over MSRP for like 2 years now. However, they are widely available. From what I can see, like they're a lot more easier to get versus even a couple months ago. And this is a good price for this card at the moment. So if we look at the current market, this is actually a pretty good deal. Memory we have is 16 gigabyte kit of Crucial Ballistics 3600 megahertz memory at 7534. Storage Crucial P2 1 terabyte NVMe SSD at $94.99. power supply to power this is the EVGA Supernova 750 watt G5, $110. And then the case to put it all in is the infamous Corsair 4000D. Great looking case at $97.49. And so we're at the higher end of our budget here. So closer to the $2,000 mark at $1,916.76 at the start of the month here. And this will perform amazingly, especially for gaming. If you have more to spend, there's some upgrade ideas here. So if you have more money and you want to get more performance out of the PC build, or you want upgrade ideas for the future, you can get a better graphics card, such as this Zotac Gaming GeForce RTX 3080 for $1,595.77 at the moment in February. Better CPU, the Intel Core i5-12600K, $289. You will need a CPU cooler for sure, as this one doesn't come with one. You can upgrade to more memories and more fancier memory. This is RGB lit, so the Kingston Fury Beast RGB, 2 16GB sticks for a total of 32 gigabytes at $139.99. Or here's a cooling solution that you can consider. This is a liquid cooler, the Be Quiet Pure Loop all-in-one 360 millimeter liquid cooler at $119.90. All right, that does it for the $1,500 to $2,000 build for February 2022. If you have any comments or questions in your building, just leave them in the comments below. Otherwise, hit subscribe. We do these builds every single month. Or visit the site here, noobcomputerbuild.com, where we have many more builds and reviews and stuff like that. Until next month, best of luck building.